Hey, man. Fuck.
Yeah, that's quite a bit, thank you.
No, hold on. Listen to me.
Nej, hey, det kan du ikke.
You can't do that, sir. You can't take my camera. Hey.
Nej, hey, det er ulovligt, det I gør lige nu.
This is Gradowski of We Are Changed.org, and I'm joined by the one and only Dan Dix of PressForTruth.ca. And obviously, you guys heard we have been arrested here in Copenhagen, Denmark, for being journalists, I think. Now, we wanted to make this video to pretty much show you and tell you a lot of important things that happened when the cameras were not rolling. Now, Dan, do you want to just start it off here? Can you tell us how everything started? Because, you know, we got here, went to the Bilderberg Hotel at the Marriott. And, you know, what happened next?
Pretty much we were chilling in the lobby, having a drink at the Marriott, just hanging out there. And you stepped out for a cigarette to have a smoke there. And you were out there talking to a few Marines or something. I don't know what was going on.
They were actually NATO security that were protecting the NATO secretary, you know, chatted them up, was trying to talk to them, trying to, you know, see what was going on, what were they, you know, there for exactly, and what was going to happen. And then you came up afterwards.
Well, I'm sitting there in the lobby, and then I get a tip that some of the organizers of the Bilderberg group are right over there at the lounge. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, we got to do something. I run out and I go to grab you, and I step outside and I kind of said, hey, Luke, we got to go in and check this out. Yeah. Came in, basically got a good look at them and thought, you know, well, you recognize them from 2012. And we're like, hey, that's them. Let's do this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important to know we were there with Paul Watson, Charlie Skelton, Hannah, and a lot of the people there were staying at that hotel, and they didn't want to cause trouble. They told us who they were. They all left, and then we kind of had the decision, like, okay, we're not staying here at this hotel. What's going to happen when we walk up to them courteously and just have a conversation with them and try to buy them some drinks? You know, there's nothing wrong with trying to buy some ladies some drinks.
I thought it was quite nice of you to offer them a drink on their, what they said was a ladies' night out for a weekend. Yeah,
but people do have to know, these are the official organizers of the Bilderberg meeting. These people, these ladies that we confronted in the beginning, we have pictures of in 2012 at the Chantilly, Virginia meeting afterwards of them posing outside the hotel. They are key instrumental figures when it comes to Bilderberg because they are the ones in charge of putting everything together. They also brag to other people how they have machine guns, and it's really just you know, a fascinating kind of people, you know, and I would have loved to talk to them. If the security didn't, you know, react the way they did, we would have never released that video because it was nothing. It was me just trying to talk to them. But we wanted to put it out there to show people that we weren't rude, we weren't confronting or ambushing. We just went up to them and said, you know, can you talk to us about Bilderberg since you're planning it? And then, you know, a lot of the things transpired. You could see the video in the above annotation right here. And, you know, the end of the escalation was really when the police came and ripped our, you know, kind of cameras off of us. Well, you know, and then, you know, what happened when they ripped off the cameras and turned off all the video cameras?
Well, they pretty much didn't give us much of a choice. They just took the cameras, turned them off. You'll see it in the video. They just flip off the switch, pull it off of Luke. I grab it from out of my hands and put it on the ground. And then said that we're going to have to check your bags. We think that you guys might be, you might have drugs on you.
No. They didn't say they have drugs on us. They said, you guys are being charged with possession of drugs.
Right.
And then we were like, drugs?
Yes.
And then he, what did he do?
He said, well, you're all, so, and we looked at him and said, come on, man, you know we're sober. Yeah. This has nothing to do with drugs. There's no drugs around here. And then it changed into being about not being able to produce ID. I left my passport at the place I'm staying, and so I didn't bring it with me. And I said, no, I don't have any ID on me. So then they said, well, we're going to have to take you downtown to figure out who you are.
Yeah, my issue was we never committed a crime. They made one up. As soon as the cameras are off, they're like, yeah, you guys are going to be charged with possession of drugs. And I'm like, holy crap. you know, they're either going to set us up here one more time. They already turned off all the video cameras. These are people who set people up. People also have to understand a lot of these powerful people, especially when it comes to people like Mayor Bloomberg. I had a previous incident where Mayor Bloomberg's former mayor of New York City, Michael Bloomberg, his security guards locked me in an event, wouldn't let me leave, told me I was detained, came back later 15 minutes with a bunch of police officers, and they said, Luke, we told you to leave. Now you're charged for trespassing. That's what I thought they were doing at the Marriott recently, because then they could say, you know, we asked you to leave when you didn't. You know, I had video footage of the incident at the same time, but the police, when they took it, they deleted it. And this was back in the day. This time it was really worrisome, because in the law here specifically states that police officers cannot take away you know, your video camera. They cannot detain you unless you commit a crime. Even if you have suspicion of a crime, you only have to give your name, your birth date, and your address. You're not supposed to give out ID unless you committed a crime. If you're in suspicion, you just have to give off your name. So we were like, no, this makes no sense at all. You know, the Danish police officers started screaming, trying to intimidate us and harass us. So it was a very confusing situation. Where were you know, what was your thought process? And Dan, you know, what happened next?
Well, the intimidation continued. I mean, they brought us down to the station and began frisking me, searching my bags, checking everything that we had. And I said, whoa, guys, hang on a second. Like, what's going on here? Am I under arrest or something? And they said, yes, you're under arrest. And I said, well, what for? And he said, failing to produce ID. And I talked to them and I said, people don't have to produce their ID.
Yeah.
They don't have to have their papers. And he said, well, the Danish people maybe not, but you're a foreigner, so you do. And so they stuck with that and said that's the reason why, that I was being frisked and arrested and put in this cell that had concrete walls and a wooden hard bench, and it felt like we were in an insane asylum.
Yes, it really did. White walls everywhere. Usually when you're in jail, they put you with other people. You get to talk and socialize and you know, have a little bit of life there. But literally, it was like an insane asylum. White walls everywhere and this wooden freaking bench that was impossible to sleep on. I was half sleeping, half laughing my ass off in jail. But then as we were in jail, we were in separate cells. We weren't together. In individual, you know, it was like, you know, solitary confinement places. We were there for a couple hours. But you know, very interesting story. When me and Dan were in our separate holding cells, we didn't know what was happening to each other. So what were you hearing in your cell, in this totally, you know, whited out room with no windows, no way of knowing anything? You just hear voices. What voices? What did you hear?
I heard voices, so all of a sudden I'm lying down in there. We're in there for a couple hours, so I get up and I hear them, and I hear, you're an international traveler.
And they're speaking English.
Yeah.
They're Dutch. Their English sucked for these kind of police officers. We kind of have to use sign language sometimes too. They weren't speaking English in there at all. And then all of a sudden, this loud English voice outside our cells goes,
you're an international traveler, and then he eventually got to the point, drop your pants. And I'm sitting there thinking, are they talking to Luke out there? And are they actually strip searching him right now, right outside the cell? And I believe you thought they were maybe talking about me.
I was sitting there, I was like, oh man, this is going to get really interesting. I was like, what the hell is going on? I was like, poor Dan is banned from Denmark. I'm like, I wonder if they're going to do the same to me. And we're sitting there, you know, and then once you're in this kind of like room where there's like nothing, you know, time goes by so slow. There's nothing to look at. There's nothing to interact. There's just white walls everywhere. You just have to kind of entertain yourself. You're like thinking like, okay, you know, we're probably going to get deported. And then I was like, all right, that should be fine, whatever. You know, but it was really, really fascinating. Finally, they let us out at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and then we came here right away. Before doing anything, we put together the videos that you can see on youtube.com/wearechange and also at pressfortruth.ca. Now, even though this incident happened, is it hindering you in any way, shape, or form? Are you affected by this in any way, shape, or form?
Yes, I am affected deeply by the fact that it has brought in more attention to the Bilderberg Group, and I am incredibly happy and pleased that it did so, and it managed to do so. I mean, I think if they were trying to silence the press, then their plan backfired, because...
And they did, because there was people in that hotel, other reporters that will not be named, that had their footage willingly deleted. And seeing this, I was like, no, that is your intellectual property. And then, you know, the whole thing with private and not private. You know, we film everything for legal purposes because these people are criminal. They try to set you up. They do all these horrible things. And you have to be on top of things, and you have to keep everything documented. We documented our conversations. We weren't going to release them until they went so far as what they did. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we were in a public area, at a bar, at a business, and people have to understand that, you know, if we weren't filming, they could just put anything on us. Mm-hmm. And we were very lucky that other people we were there as well to watch our backs at the same time. But other people got their footage deleted and they left, which is, you know, which is whatever. I understand some people are staying there. We also got people kicked out of there. Out of that hotel by accident because they were talking to us before we had a nice conversation with the Bilderberg Steering Committee.
How could we not?
Yes.
How could we not? They're sitting right there waiting for us to just open up a conversation and say, hey, how's it going?
Yeah. You know, hey, you're the Bilderberger, you know, organizers. You know, let's have a talk. Let's have a chat. There's all this mystery. There's all this like conspiracy theories out there. Let's put them to rest. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a dialogue. Let's find out what's going on. And who better to have that conversation with than the planners? And you saw how they acted. They covered up their faces. They made up excuses and lies about birthdays and couldn't even answer what happened with their balloons for their birthday parties. Mm-hmm. So it's very fascinating. Personally, this has invigorated me, even though I'm sick from the event. Mm-hmm. Physically, I am, you know, mentally invigorated, and I am ready. It's going to backfire because we're going to bust our ass. Dan does amazing work. Check out his work at pressfortruth.ca. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Don't forget to like us. Check out all the links below. Make sure you follow us. And most importantly, I just wanted to say, if it wasn't for you guys calling in to the embassies and the consulates and supporting us and making this story go viral, we probably would have been charged with something. We were charged with nothing. We were released. And I personally think it's because of you. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Anything else you want to say, Dan?
Stay tuned, guys. We got a lot coming up from Bilderberg 2014 at pressfortruth.ca and wearechange.org.
It's only the beginning. You will get to see every dollar that's spent on this project. We're going to penny pinch this thing until we can make an actual difference in this world. Help create something that will put the power back with the people.
We are waking up to the robber barons and the big banksters who are looting this economy with the Federal Reserve.
Well,